Hey, so in this video, I'm going to cover exactly how I'm going to replace a digital business card. One of the things that I was actually doing in my free community was just getting set up for this event. Did a little bit of brainstorming with ChatGPT prior, but let me just kind of share with you my vision for the future. So I have a digital business card piece of software, and as a part of that, one of the things that I continually look at is how integrated things are. Because if you think about it, when you go through and you meet somebody, the one thing that you want to be able to do is to actually meet them and then convert that time that you meet them into something where it's a longer term relationship, right? So I'm going to an event tomorrow and I'm thinking about, in that event, how does this work, right? So if I have a digital business card today, people walk up to me today and they scan a QR code. When they scan a QR code, essentially what comes up is this. So this form actually comes up today. And so I use this Popol software, and then that's been my digital business card. But the unfortunate thing is that unless you have the team's subscription with them, you can't integrate this with the CRM. So it's just not possible. You have to try and you know copy things from their app over, export a CSV, et cetera. Right. So it becomes a whole process then for me to have to deal with after the fact. And rather than having to deal with that, the one thing that I thought of was that it would be a big benefit if instead, if I could replace this software and this membership with something that I already have. And so I already have Go High Level. And the one thing that I was thinking about was it wouldn't be that hard to go through and recreate this system with Go High Level. And so my current plan is that I will build a new funnel. I'm going to start from scratch here, and then I'm going to essentially replace what I had here on this form with my own solution for that. And so the way I want it to work is that when somebody scans a QR code, essentially a form gets brought up on their phone. They fill in that form with their information and it goes to my CRM. They also get added then to my keep in touch sort of flow for people that I meet face to face. So I already have a sort of solution built for this because if somebody hands me a business card, again, I want to be able to add them to my CRM and I want to be able to instantly sort of get back to that process of how do I keep in touch with them, how do I keep in contact with them. And so I have something already built for that so that whenever people, do that, I want that to flow through. The second thing is that I'd like for them to get an email with my business networking one sheet. And in there should be my QR code where if they scan that, they can book a meeting with me. And that obviously can happen. Also, they should get the link for that same page to book a meeting with me. So that way we can set up a call. There could be additional follow up and things like that. And so there's just this whole ecosystem that I can build out now based on the thinking around, hey, it once that initial contact happens, what are the next steps that can happen then around that? So I thought, well, why not sort of build that solution here as we go through, the session today. So I just wanted to share that really quickly and just kind of come back overall and share my screen and kind of step through things. So, as I said, the form that comes up today looks like this. So it's email, name, phone number. They can't get to the thing in the back. So there's no way for them to get to that. All they can see is this form. They have to fill in the form. And once they fill that in, then they can see, the other stuff related to my contact information. And instantly they get the ability, then to download the information as well. So I have to think through how is that going to happen, how is the transaction going to happen so that it's not just me getting their contact information but they also in effect get mine as well. And so we want We want some sort of a business card, engagement to happen here, where there is an actual trade-off. Now, I already have something similar built. So I have a sheet already built that, I could envision sending them to, that looks a lot like this background page, where they could have, email, company, website, etc., all of that information, and then, just get that transferred back into their contacts on their phone as well, so that they've got my contact information just as equally. And right away fire off the email that has the business networking one sheet and all of that kind of stuff. Then if I sort of bring up that same thing again, so I've got my business networking one sheet, they could click that, and it says email me a copy in here. That's one thing. Then the website, they could click that and get to my website, book a call. So they have a 30-minute or 60-minute call in here. So you think about the way that, this replaces any form of other booking link. My YouTube channel, which is where this is going out to right now, in addition to on my school community, my free school community is called Content and Conversion. And, certainly is something that, anybody that's watching the video on YouTube should consider joining, because I share a lot of these things, through that community. And then in the paid community, we actually do a lot more. We'll, make sure that we implement these sort of tools for people as well, so that they got them for their own business as well. And so that's sort of the first part of it. As I think through all of the elements of this, is that I want that form. I want the ability for them to click a button, or sort of see how to engage with me based on that form. And so let's sort of work on this first front part. And then if anybody's interested in seeing how the rest would work, certainly you can join the Digital Spotlight, and that's my paid community. And it's on school, and certainly is a great way to engage, and get a lot more, because we give you access to high level in the community. We also, help you build out a lot of these awesome automations as well, because they help people, just stay connected. That's what I'm thinking about. Is one, for the sort of social media aspect of this, you just kind of think of, it's not that often whenever you're going to be, free with, or not free with people, but you're going to be out with people, and face to face with people. And in that, you want to be able to have this ability to connect and keep in touch and all of that kind of stuff. So with that, let me, just sort of show a little bit of what this is. I mean, honestly, in terms of digital business cards, I think Popal has one of the best things, primarily, and I'll show you the reason why I say that in just a second. But their pricing for individuals. Let me just click on this and go back to individuals. You can see it's fairly inexpensive overall, but the challenge is that all of your contacts wind up in their app. And so all I wanted to do was to be able to integrate this with my CRM. And they say they have that, but that it integrates with over 5,000 CRMs. The challenge with their way is that it actually, um, their method of sending it back to your CRM is through an automation platform that I don't use, Zapier. And so I purposely moved away from Zapier. It's an older sort of approach, and because of that, I was looking for, okay, so how else can I solve this? And so I think there's a pretty easy solution that could be put in place with regards to using Go High Level. In my case, my branded version of this is Connector. And so let's start with creating a form. So I'm going to come over here to the builder. I'm going to go to add form, and I'm going to start from scratch here, and then click create. Let's just double check the form one more time on here. So it gets email, name, and phone number. So probably a good thing to get. But again, this is passing through their platform versus staying, as something private on my own CRM here. So as I build this out, I'm just going to maximize the screen for you. As you can see, there's some consent that I have inside of here, which, is probably good for me to leave. So let me just double check. So I have email, name, and phone number. And so in this case, I'll probably just switch this out because it'd be kind of a pain again on your phone to do first name, last name. I'm just going to ask for full name up front, email and phone. And essentially this is the consent for, getting SMS and all of that kind of stuff so that I can send them messages right afterwards and say, here's my contact information, here's my one sheet, etc. And one more time. And the button down here is connect. And so I think that's a really good way to have the button named. I'm just going to click the button down here at the very bottom. You saw all I did was, in terms of creating this form, was to have it, click that new form button. So it's pretty easy to do. The text over here on the right hand side is what's going to show up. And so I'm going to type in connect. And so now that name is connect. I could change the fonts. I can make it bigger, which is probably a good idea given the fact that people could be doing this on their phone. So let me just make this slightly bigger, maybe go to 20, have a look. Looks good. I want it to be full width and 100% in there. The alignment should be centered, which it is. If I just click away, I can see that. The form I want to call my digital business card form. So there's that. I'm going to save. And so that is set. That part is all set. So now I've got my form. I think whenever I display it though, let me see if there's ways inside of here, because I think that you can do the rounding and all that kind of stuff right inside of this part of it, right? So I want to get to the outer settings on the form. I don't have to worry about the message because essentially I'm going to replace that message with doing something else inside of the actual funnel that I send. A sticky contact might not be a bad idea because essentially if somebody comes in and they add their email address, it would automatically autofill for them. So if for some reason I wanted them to do that, that might not be a bad idea. Um, Time zone isn't really relevant again with regards to this form. And then the submissions, this is how many people submitted it, where the data will go for this particular form. And again, it will be in the CRM, so I don't have to worry about that part of it. What I really want to see though is, can I do rounded edges on the border? That's what I really want, is for the border here to be rounded similar to what it was, um, overall whenever, yeah, corner radius, there you go. So if I did 20, now all of a sudden it should be rounded. And then, um, yeah, it will adjust to the size of a phone or whatever, so I don't have to worry about that. The border width is fine. Um, I'm wondering though on shadow, I do want to add a shadow here. So I want the shadow color to probably be a little dark, because what I'm going to do eventually is put a picture behind it. And that picture, I want to have something where it makes this thing pop. Horizontal and vertical. So this is, I think, could go like 10. That way it's going to stand out. This will give it like a 5 or something. So that way, again, it's got that sort of um, border around it and the blur and things like that. I don't have to worry about anything else there. So I'm going to save this form here. That's probably good enough for right now, but digital business card is what I'm calling it. And so I just got to remember that whenever I get to the funnel and actually start building the funnel. Let me come back to the funnel. So the difference in funnels inside of high level is that funnels have, in my view, there's steps. So it's like step one, step two, step three, where websites have multiple pages one after the other. And so as I think about this, that's how I would think about it. And I'm going to call this one business card. So there's a digital business card right there, and I'm going to click on create here. All right, so the first thing that I need for this digital business card then is the ability to actually um, build out some level of um, a page where people are initially landing. So I'm going to call this one, that's a biz card landing. And then the next step for me, I'm actually going to go grab, I've got a snapshot that I took just prior to getting started here of this guy. So that's going to be the background whenever we get there. But I need that to actually show up. So I'm going to create from blank. Then I want the background to be black. That's kind of the first part of this. It'll be one column, background black. There we go. And then that'll fill for anything that we have. Then the next step that I need is I need that picture. So let me bring up that picture inside of Snagit one more time. So let's see if we can just grab this and drag it in. Sometimes that works with things, sometimes it doesn't. This time, if you saw it, it popped open a new window. So I have to save this file, and then I'm going to have to, um, uh, then import it later. So I think what I'm going to do here is off screen. I'm going to save this guy, and then I'll deal with how to import it here in just 1 second. So file export inside of Snagit. For anybody that doesn't typically do this, it's you're having to sort of figure out um, how to save it into a location where you can get back to it. So this one is the contact. I'll just call it contact sheet. And export it. I'm just exporting it to my desktop right now. So I thought, let me try iCloud. Maybe that'll work. Just got to make sure I can get back to the same drive location. That's all right. Yeah. Open and export. Looked like it worked. Okay. So now, the one thing that I oftentimes do whenever I'm designing these things is I duplicate the tab numerous times. For anybody that's worked with me any period of time, the one thing I do an awful lot of is duplicate a lot of tabs. So let me go back to my media library here. There it is right there. And then all I got to do now is grab a hold of that contact sheet and drag it. It looks like it's going to open a new tab again, though. We'll see. Nope, it came in. Perfect. So it's in there. Now I can grab it back over here. I can go add one column. Should have. Let me add an image here. And now all I want to do is I need to change this image for contact sheet. There it is. Insert. So now that looks like, similar to theirs. It's, that's got to be just an image. It's not a real thing. And similar to mine. And so that's all I just did was that. And then the next part I need to do is make the form come up automatically anytime that this page is displayed. So I want the form, on top of this guy. And so what I'm going to do is here, um, create a new pop-up, and this is going to be based on that form element. And this will be form. Go. And we want the digital business card form. And there it is right there. Now, it'd be nice if it was transparent or something. So maybe whenever I go back to that form, I need to have another look at um, making it a little transparent, right? Because it would be nice for people to see that, hey, in the background, it is actually able to be seen. I don't want to show it on exit. I actually want it on none, because I want, well, wait a minute, delay 0 seconds or 1 second, so like that. So it could, when you go to the page, it just instantly pops up, and then that way people know, hey, look, to get to that information, all you got to do is fill in your information. So and then upon saving, it's going to ask me a bunch of questions around the SEO. So there is that. There's that. Just going to add in my author name and my social image. Social image can be, I'm going to use that contact form again. It's right there. So now if you see it, right, this is how it would look on Google or anything else, right? So Don Davis digital business card update SEO. So there you go. I can save that, and then I can publish it. And before I do that, I think I'm gonna go look at the form one more time. So let me go back to sites, forms, builder, and it was digital business card. Go. Let's just look at the color on this guy, which should be here, I think, under advanced. Yep, border color. I can make a little transparent, so I can increase the transparency in the border color. And then also, whenever it comes to the form itself, so let's see, that one's border color. Go styles, box, colors and background. Input background color. So you probably don't want to, um, have the overall, the input background color we probably want to leave alone, right? So I'm just thinking about like increasing the transparency whenever it comes to the form. So then that way it makes it, kind of stand out whenever it's sitting on top of that other thing. So there we go. I'm saving that. And now if I come back here and I pop the form up again, I wonder, does it, um, nope, won't be that one yet. So that's fine. It's okay. It'll come in whenever I make the other change as well. So I think we're good with all of this. So the next, sort of step is they fill it in, then what happens next, right? How do they get to that next step where they actually, can fill things in? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to publish this one right now, and then I think what I'll do is I'll pop it in under Content Genius Digital for right now, and then I will go ahead and save that. And so now you could see it's got an actual landing page, so that I could start filling this in if I wanted. And so instantly that popped up, but again, I don't see the transparency. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back here, and I think what happened was, I don't know if I saved this after I made that change. So now if I come here again and I refresh, maybe it will change again. Let's have a look. Nope. So it looks to me like I'm going to have to troubleshoot, what's going on with why that form doesn't update yet. Um, so I'll have to, continue to take a look at that, because I feel like, there's more, more there to really understand what's going on. The background color, I think, might change that. So that actually looks better already. So it's one step better. Um, let's save that, publish. Okay. And so that part is done. I'm going to come back here now. The next part that I want to be able to display, though, is that page that more or less thanks them for things and transfers over the content, the contact information. And so that'll be the next part that I want to build out. But essentially, that's what I wanted to show off today. Was here's the step for building out your own business card, and building out a landing page that has all of this other information is not that hard with um, having high level. And yeah, so that's what I wanted to demonstrate. Thanks a lot for anybody that's been watching me sort of fumble around and find my way with regards to this. I'm going to keep on building things out with regards to this solution, and hopefully this has been helpful.